something that really helped me to create my dream life was creating irreversible decisions. If you're always on that brink, on that line of one foot in, one foot out, you're always going to choose just to stay into the comfort zone. And what I learned is my natural state is actually more feminine. It's just that I spent so many years operating from my masculinity that I actually masked that side of me. Now looking back, I spent a lot of those years when in my masculinity, I was so frustrated and nothing ever seemed to work, nothing in business, nothing in relationships. And now it's because I understand naturally I am more feminine. The concept here is that there is going to be periods of time in life where you have to work harder than the majority. So when you're seeing your family, your friends, people around you seeming like they're not even working that hard, so why should I? You have to work hard because you have a vision for your life and you know what it takes to get there. You cannot in this day and age rely on one income stream. Your 9 to 5 is not going to do it. Hello, my love. Welcome back. My name is Montelle and this is a channel where self-mastery meets work in progress. So in today's video, I want to share 23 things that I have personally done that have changed my life, and I want to share them with you. If you are wanting to step into your that woman era, if you are wanting to level up, change your life, create your dream life, this is absolutely going to be useful for you. And these are some of the things that I stand by and will continue to stand by. And yeah, as I was typing, I was thinking, yeah, this will just be a little 8-pointer video, but no, we have 23 points on this list. And I probably could have kept going, but I'm like, I can't make this video too long. So here is 23 ways that I created my dream life. First step to creating your dream life and leveling up is truly making that decision. You have to decide in this very moment that I am not settling for less. I am not accepting less than I deserve. I get to decide my reality. I get to transform my identity. I get to step into the woman I know I'm called to be, because that woman's already within you. It's not like you have to redesign yourself. Yes, you can reinvent yourself, but know that that identity has always lived within you. So when you're reinventing, it's just you bringing back to the surface who you've always been called to be. And that's truly what it is. You get to decide that in this moment. So the first step is always about deciding, and the ways that you do that is through visualizing. So having that clear image of who the woman you want to become is. What does she look like? How does she act? What does she sound like? What are her mannerisms? What skills does she have? What lifestyle is she creating for herself and her family? You have to be so clear on this, because without a plan, you're just going to be directionless with what step to take, and you're not going to be able to ground yourself and solidify your identity. That's when it becomes easy to compare yourself to other people and what they may be doing and their routines and their habits and their identity, when you have to decide who that person is for yourself and who you want to become. So it really is about having that self-awareness as well. You have to develop that true sense of self, that true sense of your identity. And if that's something that you are needing more support with doing, I would absolutely recommend joining the Reinvent Yourself Challenge, which is a 5-day live coaching experience that will guide you through a process of self-discovery, vision creation, and intentional planning. It's going to be so amazing. We've got a live round coming up very soon, so head down to the description if you're interested. But even if you're watching a few months from now or even a few weeks from now, still head down to the description to see when the next live round is going to be. Okay, so that's the first step, decide. Second step is all about the inner work. You cannot skip this. You cannot. Trust me, I've tried it. I've tried to skip the inner work. I've tried to just do everything on the surface level. I've tried to copy everybody else's blueprint and be frustrated with it not working for me. I've been there, I've done it, and I've realized, no, we have to play the long game when it comes to our life and future success and stepping into the woman that we are called to be. There's going to be a lot of internal things going on there. There's going to be a lot of trauma, limiting beliefs, lack mindset, fear, self-doubt. There's a lot that's going to be going on as we're evolving into new arenas, into things that we have not yet experienced in life, where we have no evidence, no proof that we can actually be successful in these areas without that legitimate backing for ourselves. We have to create that And we can only do that once we've cleared out all of the internal things that may be going on. So there are so many ways that you can start your inner work journey. That's a full video I'll be creating very soon on how you can really get started. But small things such as journaling is so powerful. If you just Google self-discovery prompts, and then every single day you commit 5-10 minutes at the very least to journaling out how you may be feeling, what you're experiencing, what your fears are, what your beliefs are. Just going back to that point of having that self-awareness, you have to understand yourself so you can work on yourself. You cannot just make things up. You cannot copy anybody else's blueprint. So it's about you doing that inner work. Another way is, of course, therapy, which is something that I'm a firm believer in. I've spent a couple of years in therapy and my life completely changed. My relationships, communication, my own sense of self, my identity, my confidence, limiting beliefs. So many things really came out of therapy. And sometimes it does take for another person to see you from an outsider perspective. It can sometimes feel difficult to speak with family and friends because they know you through and through, and they also want the best for you and they want to protect you. So it's not always easy to have difficult conversations with family members because they're trying to come from a place of love and a place of support and not telling you how it is. So we need tough love at times. We really need tough love. So when looking for a therapist, if you're in a position where you have the ability to invest in a therapist, just know that it's such a privilege and you should feel so blessed and fortunate that you are in that position. If you are in that position, just make sure you're looking for somebody who really understands what you're trying to achieve, what you're wanting to achieve, really understands what you're wanting to achieve out of the relationship, and they can give you that. I've been through 3 therapists. The first one, amazing. She got me straight away. We had the best year or so together, and then she actually ended up moving on to a different practice. So I had to leave her. And by the way, I do therapy through BetterHelp. That's been my therapy platform since the beginning. I've been with them for over 2 years now, and I will leave them down in the description if you are interested in checking them out as well. But yeah, so I was on BetterHelp, had my first therapist. It was an amazing experience, and then she actually left BetterHelp. So then I went with another one, and we just wasn't getting each other. We wasn't really vibing. She was like talking over me a lot, which I really did not appreciate. So I ended up moving on from her, and now I've got another therapist, and again, just an amazing relationship. So you have to really know what you're wanting out of that relationship for it to truly work. But just going back to that point of doing that inner work, having a therapist can really support you with that if you're not sure where to get started. Okay, so number 3 for how to create your dream life is you have to decide that you, from now on, only want and will accept the best experiences out of life. This was a mindset shift that I had in my early 20s, and I decided, you know what? I deserve better, I deserve the best, and I expect the best for myself. And it's only really now I'm moving into my I'm kind of in my late 20s now. I'm going to be 27 this year, which is crazy, but yeah, now I'm moving into my later 20s, and now I'm more financially stable, and I can now afford myself that lifestyle that I want. But even in my early 20s, when I maybe necessarily couldn't have all of the best experiences in life, I still adopted that mindset, and I still sought out the best experiences for myself in any possible way. And it could even just be the smallest things, like choosing luxury bedding. I give this example all the time, but it's just a small luxury that you can afford yourself. By adopting these smaller luxuries, it then makes it easier to elevate your life on a bigger scale once you finally get there, once you get into a position. So I decided I'm only going to accept the best, and even if that means I have to cut back on certain things, maybe I'd rather, let's say, save up a bit longer to go on a better holiday than just to go on the cheapest holiday available. Or maybe I'd save up a bit longer to get a nicer car than just to get the cheapest car available. And I mean, everyone's circumstances at different point is different, so I'm just sharing my own experiences. I'm not saying that this is what you have to do, but I've just made a conscious effort where I can now to only accept the best, because at the end of the day, we only get one life, we only get one experience on this physical life anyway. So why not just have the best experiences of everything? I mean, that is my ultimate goal, where I can, if I could have the best quality in service, food, health, gyms, travel, relationships, family. I just want it all. I want it all because we deserve it. So why should we have to settle for less than we deserve just because maybe we don't have the finances right now? That's a common excuse that people tend to use. I don't have the money, I don't have the finances, which yes, it is true. Maybe you don't have the money right now, but by reinforcing that constantly, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're not creating a solution for how you can find the money, how you can have better experiences. If that's what you desire, not everyone desires to have the best experiences, but I do. So I'm sharing from my own personal opinions here, which is that even at times where I didn't necessarily have the finances, I didn't continue to tell myself that. I chose to find better solutions rather than focused on that problem, because what you'll find is when you do eventually have the money, you'll always find another excuse. It just becomes an excuse loop rather than a solution loop. So yeah, that's the point. Expect the best experiences. So the next thing, point number 4 is to change your language around success and what that means to you. A lot of the time we develop other people's opinions and ideologies about what success should look and feel like, when in actual fact our version of success could be completely different. And we may all my battery when in actual fact, our version of success could look completely different to another person's. We could already be at our version of success, but because we're so fixated on other people's opinions and their versions, we completely miss our success train, or we delay it, or we don't appreciate it for what it is. So I know for me right now, I am on my journey. I'm already successful. I am 1000% already successful. Am I all the way where I want to be? Not yet, but I'm on that journey. But I know I can accept my success for where it currently is. And that has taken a lot of time for me to really become aware of what it is that I'm chasing and what it is that I want to see from my life without allowing anybody else to influence that. So you have to change your language around what success actually means. Well, it's not even that you have to change your language. You actually have to create your own language. You have to create your own language around what success means to you, what it's going to look like to you, how you're going to celebrate it once you're there, what your milestones look like, what kind of words you're going to affirm to yourself about success, because it's not going to be the same for everybody. Some people like working 100-hour weeks. Some people like being extremely busy with loads on their calendar, and that's success to them. Some people like to live completely remote, shut off from the world. That's their version of success. Some people are in the middle. Some people like 9-to-5s and corporates and climbing that ladder. Some people want to be more entrepreneurial. So there's no one version of success. So you have to create that for yourself and stick to it and stay strong in your values and what you believe. Okay, so the 5th way I created my dream life was by earning more money. So I put a lot of intention and focus into building my brand. Way back when I started my YouTube channel, I did not know it was going to turn into what it is and be a career, but it happened to be so. But I knew the importance of at least building a brand, at least building something that eventually can create me money, or eventually can create more impact. I knew that from early on. So I think it's really essential, especially in this age we're living in, to create a brand, regardless of whether that's a personal brand. So you're showing up, you're active on social media such as YouTube, or you're building your own platforms and you're sharing your own message. Whether you do that, or whether you build an e-commerce brand, or whether you build, there's just so many things that you can build, an agency. There's so many ways that you can be developing a brand online, ideally. So I would really think about, what can I do to be building to generate an additional multiple income streams, not even just one additional income stream. You want to have multiple income streams. With the way our world is going, the way things are so fast paced, the way there's so much opportunity, you want to make sure you're grasping as much as possible. You want to make sure that you're diversifying your incomes as much as possible, because as quick as something can blow up and as quick as something becomes a trend is as quick as it can go away as well. So you want to make sure you're diversifying. So the way that I truly was able to create my dream life was through having money, like straight up. I don't care what anybody tells you. You have to have money. You have to have money in order to have the best experiences, in order to invest in yourself, in order to have a better quality of life, in order to have that freedom that you deserve. I mean, there's so much life to be lived. So in order to live that life, we have to have freedom. We can't just be working non-stop constantly, especially when it's something that we're not passionate about. So your way out of that is by creating financial freedom for yourself. And that is going to look like having a business, having a side hustle, having additional income streams. You cannot, in this day and age, rely on one income stream. Your 9 to 5 is not going to do it. Even the people in the top 9 to 5s earning 6 figures a year, it's not enough. It's great. It is great, but it's not going to be enough. You still want to be having something else, because not only financially it may not be enough, but then also you have to look at the fact of working for somebody else. You could easily be dropped at any point. That is just the reality of working for somebody else. You do not know what could ever happen. And I am generalizing here, but there is still always going to be that risk of working for somebody else. So you just want to make sure you're diversifying your income as much as possible. And another thing to think about, just when it comes to working in traditional corporate structures, which, by the way, I have no issue with. I mean, I've always said, if I was to find a 9 to 5 role that seemed perfect and ticked all my boxes, I'd absolutely go for it. I'm not somebody who's like, I'm only going to be an entrepreneur and that's it. That just happens to be where I'm at right now. But in the future, if there's a 9 to 5 role, I would go for it. However, the difference is I will always have my own things going on as well. I'll always be building my side hustles. I'll always be having additional income streams, because you want to be creating income streams that you're not exchanging your time for. That is the main thing about 9 to 5s for me, is that it's such an exchange of time, 40 hours a week in exchange for money, when you can do that, but also make sure that you have other streams of income that you do not have to exchange time for, so you're making money passively. And that truly is the route to financial freedom, because we only have a limited amount of time, we only have a limited amount of energy within the day. So if we're relying on our time and our energy to create money, there's always going to be that upper ceiling, there's always going to be a limit there. Whilst on the other hand, if we're creating money passively, there's no limits. The 6th way to create your dream life is by dropping your ego. So you have to understand that as humans, we're all flawed in some way, and you have to accept those flaws and be willing to work on them. And it is a daily effort. There have been so many times where I've had to bite my tongue. I've had to accept an uncomfortable situation or a position or a conversation that I may have had with somebody. I've had to understand that, yes, I'm still flawed in my ways, I'm still growing in my ways, but that doesn't mean that I cannot still be a work in process and I cannot create my dream life. So there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations that you have on this journey, especially if you're somebody who really is interested in developing yourself and you like self-improvement and you want to create success and you want to create your dream life. Just know that it's going to come with uncomfortable things. It's not going to be all smooth sailing. There are going to be some things that hit you and it's going to be such a hit to your ego, but you have to learn how to work through that, because there is so much more waiting for you on the other side of that once you finally make it through. Number 7 on how to create your dream life is all about stepping into your femininity. So over the past 2 years, I've really focused on balancing out my feminine versus masculine. I spent a lot of years in my masculine energy, which stemmed from survival mode, victim mentality, and just a lot of the experiences I had growing up and through childhood. That was always my default mode, and it really wasn't until I got with my now partner, Sam, that I learned this about myself. So it really took for me to be aware of this new fact, because I always thought I'm a feminine woman. I always thought, you know, I look good, I dress nice. I thought that was what encompassed being feminine. So it really took for me to go on my own femininity journey just to get to where I'm now. And what I learned is my natural state is actually more feminine. It's just that I spent so many years operating from my masculinity that I actually masked that side of me. But now looking back, I spent a lot of those years when in my masculinity, I was so frustrated and nothing ever seemed to work, nothing in business, nothing in relationships. And now it's because I understand naturally I am more feminine, and that imbalance was actually so detrimental to the person I was becoming and the life I was creating. So learning more about femininity, stepping into my womanhood more recently has completely changed my life and has made me become that woman, of course. So this is something that I would recommend definitely looking into, doing your research into. I will leave down in the description some of the resources that really helped me, some of the YouTube channels that definitely helped me on this journey. Number 8 is to create irreversible decisions. So in other words, act quickly. One of my mottos in my early 20s was to say yes now, think about it later. And I lived through that throughout my whole 20s, even to this day. When it comes to opportunities, when it comes to just new experiences, when it comes to leveling up, I'm the one to say yes now, and I'll worry about it, or I'll think about it later. I'll think about the facts later. So something that really helped me to create my dream life was by creating irreversible decisions. Because if you're always on that brink, on that line of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're always going to choose just to stay into the comfort zone. So you want to always make sure that you're creating a decision that you can't easily just go back and change. And I'm not saying to create a decision that's going to put you in harm. You always want to make sure it's a safe decision. But if you know that you could very realistically create this jump into your new life, or you can take a step forward, but you're deciding to hold on to your comfort zone that's not serving you, that's not helping you progress in any way, but it's just comfortable for you to do that. If you know that you're blocking yourself in that way, you have to think about, how can I make this irreversible? So to give you some examples of what my irreversible decisions: solo traveling. I booked the trips, I paid for the tickets, and then I decided, okay, accommodation, this, what am I going to do? All of that came after the fact. I did not spend days upon days upon days planning out every single thing before I made that first step. I bought the ticket first, I thought about it later. Moving house, I've moved so many times. I've been living independently since I was 17, so I've moved quite a lot, and paying bills is no joke. So once you make that decision that you're going to move, then it becomes a responsibility that you have to think about later. Now, of course, you want to make sure you are in at least somewhat of a financial position to make such a move like that. But if you know you are, take that leap. Me moving to London is a recent decision I've made. I signed the papers, I signed the tenancy agreement, I thought about all the logistics after that. Me starting a YouTube channel, when it comes to business, launching new offers and programs, I put the course out there first, I put the program out there first, and then I think about all the logistics after. You have to make decisions publicly that are going to change your life, that's more than just within your head, because we can create all these big visions and big intentions in our head, but if we do not make a physical step forward that cannot be changed, we're never going to move in that direction. So make a decision, act quick, act now, say yes, and think about it later. All right, I need to quickly get through these because time is ticking. Okay, number 9 is to create stronger boundaries. I'm not going to dive too much deeper into this because I've already spoke about it on so many videos, but create boundaries, set your boundaries. What are you going to accept in life? What you're not going to accept in life, and stick with that, because people can only respect your boundaries when you enforce them. They're not going to create your boundaries for you. So if you feel like you're constantly being overstepped and you're constantly being disrespected, it might not be that that person is intentionally disrespecting you. It's just that you haven't been clear on your boundaries that you need to create for yourself. Number 10 is to invest in yourself. So you want to invest in yourself financially, financially, spiritually, mentally, career-wise, every single area you want to be putting in that investment. My life didn't start to change until I put some investment into my life. I've invested tens of thousands of pounds in mentors, business coaches, programs, degrees, like so much in personal development and investment. So if you're not willing to spend the smallest amount of money in yourself, how are you expecting to change your life? How are you expecting to impact other people? It all starts with you. I always say, as a coach, you cannot become a coach until you've been coached yourself, which is why to this day, I have a coach and I'll forever have a coach. I'll forever be a part of the mastermind, a community, invest in myself. And the best thing about the time we're living in is you could learn as much as you want about anything you want. If you decide today you want to get into accounting, I'm sure that there are so many resources and so many courses that you can join for that. If you want to get into property, you can do the same. If you want to get into coaching, there's so many things that you can learn without always having to go the traditional route of going to university, going to college. There's so many resources online. There's just an abundance of knowledge, and if you're not tapping into that, if you're not investing, then you're really missing out on leveling up yourself and becoming that woman. Number 11 is to change up your environment. Your hometown, it can only do so much for you. It really can. When it comes to stepping into your next level identity and really setting the pace for your future, but not only your future, for your whole community, for everybody around you. If you're somebody who values creating impact, you have to step out so that you can inspire. You cannot stay within your community. And I'm not saying it has to be forever. You don't just have to up and leave and never return, but you at least have to experience new things so you can bring those new things back into your communities. I have explored so many different cultures, communities, different people. I've traveled so much, I've seen so much, I've explored so much, and I know not only is it making me a better and stronger person, but it's going to allow me to go back into my communities and impact them in ways that I couldn't have done if I just stuck within that same surrounding. And I feel like you're all a bit like me in some ways. I feel like you are, which is why you watch my content, of course. And if you are, you're somebody who values freedom, and staying in the same areas can make you feel so restricted and limited in yourself and limited in your capabilities. And all it takes is for you to venture out to a new town or a new area, and your spirits feel completely lifted from that, and you feel so inspired again, and you feel so expansive again. So this is why you have to change up your environment as often as possible. Move out of your hometown, take that solo trip, take an extended travel trip, whatever you have to do to just break free from that, even if it's just for a short amount of time. That will help you to create so much more impact than just staying in that same environment and not experiencing a change. Number 12 is to read more books. I think this one goes without saying, knowledge is power. However, one thing I will add to this point is that the reason this changed my life so much is because when you read a book, you're actually getting a lot of the information right from the source. A lot of information that you see on YouTube nowadays is just regurgitated information. So when you go to the book, you're going right to the source. And there's a reasons why books have such a long lifespan, and over again, generation after generation, books still have so much power, is that you're getting all of the key principles without all the extra fluff, without all the things that other people have posed their opinions on, or other people have posed their experiences on. It's literally the key principles, which is why books are so powerful, and they almost never expire in terms of what you learn through them, because it's core principles that you're learning. So number 13 is challenging yourself every single day. So to create your dream life, to level up, to build your confidence, to reinvent yourself, it has to be a challenge. You have to create challenges, whether that's a mini challenge for yourself every single day on something that you want to improve on, or whether you join a community and start a challenge together, you find an accountability partner. If you're looking for all of those things, make sure you join the Reinvent Yourself challenge. That is going to be where it's at. But you have to be challenging yourself. You have to be putting yourself out there into new arenas, trying new things, accepting that you may fail at things, but it's all a part of the journey. And if you're going to be so much better better off by challenging yourself than to not challenge yourself at all. Number 14 is to improve your communication. Now, this is something I'm also working on still as well, but the better you can articulate your feelings, emotions, your thoughts, the easier it is going to be for you to get the desired outcome you're looking for, whether that's in a conversation, if you're wanting to express how you may be feeling about a certain thing, maybe it's with a partner or with family or friends. The better you can communicate that, the better the response is going to be. If it's in a work setting, maybe you're wanting a promotion, you're wanting to elevate in your career, the better you can communicate why you're deserving of that promotion, or the skills that you obtain, or the previous successes that you've brought to that company, the better you can present yourself and get your points across, the more successful you're going to be. It's just the truth of it. So I'm constantly wanting to improve my articulation. It's something that for myself is an insecurity at times, because I just know the power of communication and language and speaking clearly. So it's something that you do want to improve on, and some of the ways that you can do that is starting a YouTube channel, of course. That is something that absolutely helped me develop my confidence with speaking. But even if it's just on a daily basis, just approaching somebody new and starting up a conversation, or just engaging in different conversations to what you used to. So maybe on a day-to-day you used to just the typical, hey, what's up, what you doing, standard conversations. Maybe you can challenge yourself by going to a networking event where the conversation is different and it challenges you to step outside of your comfort zone and become more confident and articulate within yourself. So that's just a few ideas, but communication definitely is key. Number 15 is to make new friends. Kind of goes on the point that I just made of getting yourself out of your comfort zone and out of your typical environment by making new friends, going to networking events, joining networking groups, joining different support groups in your area. You want to challenge yourself to make new friends of all different backgrounds, of all different ethnicities, because it just helps you to be more cultured and to have a deeper understanding of other people. And once you've got an understanding of other people, you can then have a deeper understanding of yourself and really step into that wholesome version of yourself. Number 16 is to focus on the journey rather than the result. This is something I've shared often on my channel, especially in regards to the 12-week year, but you really want to focus more on the journey itself and seeing that as the success rather than the actual result. Now, of course, it's going to be amazing when you finally hit this milestone that you've been waiting for, but you don't want to dismiss that journey and the growth and the lessons and the small wins that you would have experienced on the way to that result. If you're just like, okay, here's my starting point, here's my result, I don't care about the rest. Once you get to that result, you're always going to be looking for that next thing. You get yourself into a loop as just always chasing a result. So what you want to do is redefine what success means to you and start enjoying that actual process and that journey, because even if you don't get to that result at the end, you're not going to feel as disappointed and disheartened because you actually enjoyed growing to that journey. And you could actually find that your path completely redirects, and on that journey, if you get into this result that you at the time may have thought you wanted, you realize that actually I'm in a different direction because of this journey, because of what I've been building, because of these small wins and these milestones that I'm enjoying on this journey. I've actually ended up somewhere else. Number 17 is to willingly accept feedback from others. So on your journey to leveling up, there's going to be people in your life that offer feedback. Now, you don't have to accept feedback from everyone and anyone, but if this is someone that you truly admire and look up to, and you know that they're coming from a place of love and you really respect their wisdom, then you want to be open to receiving that feedback from them, because we're all flawed in some way. We all have blind spots. So there's going to be people around us in our life that are going to support us and help us to see those blind spots, but we have to drop that ego and accept that feedback and accept that criticism. I can never say that word. and accept that criticism and move forward. Number 18 is to put yourself out there. Again, this one kind of goes without saying. The more you put yourself out there, the more you're building your confidence, the more opportunities you're likely to have. So you have to put yourself forward. You have to be your biggest cheerleader, because nobody else is going to do that for you. Maybe your parents may do it for you. Maybe a few of your friends may do it for you, but ultimately they've got their own things going on. So you always have to be your biggest advocate at all times. Number 19 is taking 100% responsibility for your life. I've actually got a full video on this one, which will be coming out next, which is the one mindset shift that changed my life. So make sure you check that out, and it's just going to be all about how it really is for you to take 100% responsibility of your life. You cannot push blame onto other people. You have to take that extreme ownership in every single area of your life. So stay tuned for that video. It's going to be more in depth than this. Number 20 is to work hard, but also work smart. So on your journey of creating your dream life, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to have to work harder and longer than the majority of people. The average person doesn't work towards creating a dream reality for themselves. They've just accepted the life that they currently have as that's the best they can do. But for us, we know that there is so much better that we can do, but it is going to require us to work harder. Now, I don't mean having to constantly trade your time in terms of working harder. That's not what it means. A lot of people think, okay, in order to work harder, I must work longer hours, I must dedicate more time. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you have to work harder to do the prep work in order to see success. And let me give you an example of what that means. So passive income, for example, if you're wanting to create passive income online, it means that you're going to have to work a lot harder in the beginning to prep yourself, to do the foundational work, to set the groundwork so that in the future you've primed yourself for success. It may mean that right now you have to take on a few extra shifts, or you may have to take on a second, a third job for a short amount of time so that you have enough income saved so that then you can leap into a business, or you can invest in yourself in other ways. You can purchase property, whatever that may be. The concept here is that there is going to be periods of time in life where you have to work harder than the majority. So when you're seeing your family, your friends, people around you seeming like they're not even working that hard, so why should I? You have to work hard because you have a vision for your life and you know what it takes to get there. So you have to put your blinders on, forget what everybody else is doing, and focus on what you need to do and what your mission is for this period in life. Other people may be in their rest periods, soft life, whatever. For right now, you may be in a work period, and accept that. Number 21. This is personal again, so this is how I created my dream life, and how I'm continuing to, is I have quit drinking. So I'm not drinking alcohol. I've decided I'm going to go sober, at least for this year, and then we'll see what happens after that. But it's already been 3 months and I don't miss it that much. And then also, that is obviously more recently, but even just thinking back over my early 20s to where I'm currently at, I have cut down a lot on different social events, different social things that I may have dabbled in, not completely of course, but just like going to clubs is not really my vibe now. I'll go on a very special occasion if it's like a birthday, but I'm not out every weekend. I prefer to have a quiet night in, or I prefer to go to a bar or just do something more classy over being trashy. And yeah, I've just decided I'm cutting back on things that are detrimental to my health or my mind, because for me, especially with drinking, that used to mess up my mind, my anxiety, my executive function, and it used to go on for like I could maybe just have one night out and be drinking, and then for that next week or two I'd be just riddled in anxiety, and I knew it was the alcohol. So I've decided I'm not putting myself and my body through that type of stress anymore. So yeah, that's something that I've done recently to really step into my that woman era and just to level up my life, because I know when I'm on my A game, when I'm fully functioning, I am unstoppable. So I'm not going to allow anything to stop me in that track. Number 22 is to start a new hobby. Hobbies can be so life-changing in so many ways. For one, it's a great way to just reduce the everyday stress of life, going through the motions of life, having that same routine. It's just a way to break that pattern. For two, it's a way to just gain a deeper sense of self and just to explore yourself in different ways. A lot of the time we go through life, it's mainly education, career, relationships, that's it. We don't really spend enough time with ourselves to understand ourselves. So find a new hobby, find ways to express yourself, to explore yourself, to meet new people, to challenge yourself. There's just so many benefits of creating new hobbies, especially when they're hobbies that are surrounded with communities and other people that have similar interests, because then it's just opening up different types of conversations for you. And then finally, number three. I've been talking for too long to think I've only said 3 points. Number 23, the final one on the list, is to stop excessive complaining. So if you want to create your dream life, you have to drop the complaints, the excuses, the moans. I know that that's just, for a lot of people, the default, to want to complain about things, to want to woe is me, to want to become a victim. But your dream life is going to require you to drop that version of yourself. You have to be somebody who is optimistic, who is positive, who seeks the more positive outcomes rather than dwells on the problems or the negatives. So yeah, challenge yourself this week to just stop complaining and just to enjoy life and just to see the positive outcomes and not to engage in any gossip or anybody else complaining, just to always offer a solution. That is it, solution orientated. That is what we need to focus on. So yeah, that is it for this video. This was a long one, but I hope you did enjoy. These are really some of the ways that I've changed my life over the past 7 years or so throughout my 20s, and yeah, they continue to work for me up until this day. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. If you are interested in joining the Reinvent Yourself Challenge, head down to the description to find out when the next live round is. Like I say, if you're watching this a few months into the future or whenever you're watching this, I may still be running the challenge, so make sure you head down to the description to check that out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.